like nature. It's what we're all about.
Wagons ho! Have a look at that! Whoa! Just when they think it's safe to come out. Not an animal! Bang!
I guess in the end, that's probably why we all go fishing.
Folks, we're at Narooma on the south coast of New South Wales, and I first came here in 1979, which was just shortly after this young lady entered the world. And folks, you saw my daughter Rachel on the show last year catching big bass, and this is almost one of your favourite saltwater places, darling.
It's a beautiful place to come on holiday, and I really love it here, Dad.
She's got no choice, folks. The fact is that we just love this area on the south coast of New South Wales, but tonight we're going specialty fishing for whiting. Now these are a sand whiting or a yellowfin whiting, and I've been fishing for them here for probably, well, most of the time I've been coming here. So we've got a specialist fish and it requires specialist equipment and specialist bait. Folks, it's time for Rexy and Rachel to go fishing. Come on along. Come on, Rach, let's get out there. Folks, everywhere I go around the globe, I see people making hard work of fishing and hard work of launching boats. If your boat is not launching off the trailer as easy as this, see your dealer. There's something wrong with the outfit. Wagons ho. Beautiful pelicans,
aren't they?
Beautiful pelicans, eh? Beautiful, isn't it? Good night for it, Rach.
First night there's not been any wind.
First night without wind. It's getting me around here. There'll be no wind. Still there?
Can't feel him.
The fish are that light tonight, I don't reckon you'd see them on a normal rod without a nibble tip.
He hasn't come back, so I might check my bait.
Check the bait. Well, while you're baiting up, darling, it's been a long while since I sat down and tucked you into bed and read you a bedtime story.
Quite
So
a
I'll
while.
do it for the folks, all right? Once upon a time, there was a place called Narooma, and it's on the south coast of New South Wales here on the eastern seaboard of Australia. These rock walls aren't natural. They weren't here when the big world that we live in was made. They're man-made to train a channel to go out through the ocean so the passage of boats, both recreational and commercial, can get out into these rich fishing grounds off here. Now, while I'm catching this fish, let me explain to you, that roar that you can hear is over the top of that hill, and that is the roar of the ocean. Now, what happens is that in the 25 years that I've been consistently fishing here at Narooma, I've never caught an Australian salmon. Now, legend has it, where those people over there are fishing, that used to be a salmon trap. And I'll just get this fish in for you. It's a beautiful Narooma whiting. And this is a fantastic story, folks, so don't touch that dial. This is a famous Narooma whiting. I'll get back to him in a moment. What the commercial fishermen did in the 1930s and 40s, they caught so many salmon in this particular inlet, they had to make a processing factory called a salmon tin, or what is it, a can factory, a cannery. I knew I'd get it out there, folks. And what happened one night, tons upon tons of schooling salmon came into the inlet. Now, instead of blowing the market to the you-know-where, they decided to just take only a few fish and get their price, which in those days was only a few pence before decimal currency. They herded the salmon into this area over here, and a king tide came on that night. Just as if it was an act of God or something was going in the way of the fish, and the whole lot of the fish got away. And since those times, not one salmon has been seen in the inlet. And yet if you go out on the beaches either side of the bar, you'll catch Australian salmon. The fellas who think they know, and I think they're only guessing, say that the lead fish took the school away, and that sort of knowledge was passed down through the next generations, and that's why no salmon ever come in here. There's plenty of whiting and there's plenty of tailor, but it's a pretty good story. And as my producer back in the editing suite will say, it's a pretty long one too, Rex. Now, back to the whiting of Narooma. This is why I come here. This is a beautiful, beautiful whiting. Now, I was saying before that they've got the mouth on the bottom of their head. And this is around about 31, 32 centimetres. Not a big one, but not a bad start, Blossom.
Not a bad one.
The old fella. Yes?
Yep.
Good girl. What do you think?
Whiting?
Whiting.
Good guess, seeing as we're fishing for whiting.
Well, we are. And that's what I said to the folks. We are specialist fishing for whiting. We're just not fishing for anything that swims out here. Rachel, a lot of people would say, have a look at the size of the telegraph pole that young girl has to use because her father says you must use it.
No.
Now, you get me off the hook here, Rach.
I like using these rods. You can really feel what the fish is doing down there, and it gives you a lot of control over the fish.
Yeah. Very, very nice fish. Oh, he's a good one. Rachel, we're going to have a lovely, lovely feed of these beautiful fish. And you can just lift them in just like that.
There we go.
Look at that. Now, I think I'll have to come to Brendan, but that is well over the 27 centimetre size limit. That little red bead going up and down, I think Brendan can pick it up, is to attract the fish to the worm. Sometimes you might get a little indentation around the sort of sand holes and the little nooks and crannies, and your worm sort of hides, or he might burrow into the sand. But that particular bead attracts the fish. He comes up and he says, that's my tea. So Rachel, I know you're a big catch and release girl, but you know, Mum's back there with the frying pan warmed up, and these are fantastic eating fish.
And they do taste great.
They do taste fantastic. Sorry, mate, that's your bad luck. Another one, Rachel.
Yep, I'm catching up. Feels quite small, but
Does it?
Wait,
You never know
sometimes
that.
they don't take off till they get right near the boat.
No, they
see the
don't.
boat. Oh, there we go.
Now, these fish are starting to come on, I think. Oh,
What?
dueling banjos here. Now, you are right. That fish I thought was 3 or 4 inches long,
Isn't
yours, but
fighting
now
at
it's
all now.
fighting absolutely beautifully. Look at that. You find a lot of young people that you see fish and rach, you know, try to get the fish in too quick and don't enjoy the angling part of it, and more importantly, allow that rod to be a shock absorber.
I do. I saw a young boy the other day on the pier and he was winching the fish in.
Was he?
And
Yeah.
I thought that wasn't a good look, but a lot of people aren't taught how to fish.
No, they're not.
Oh,
Now, Rach, we have to actually tell the people what happened. Now, folks, the camera boat, of which Brendan and the rest of the crew are on, got very close to us because it's a very, very windy night. And the rod got caught in the gunnel, which is the side of the boat. and we put a little crack in the rod and we thought it may hold up, and Rach, it hasn't.
Broke. So I've still got the fish on here. So
You've
I'll
still got the
hand line
fish.
him, and our rod has died there, but
And that's, this is a lovely, lovely fish, Rach. Look at that.
there we go.
That is beautiful. Now that's not bad at all, is it?
At all.
And look at this.
Oh, beautiful.
But I think, Rach, you have fixed me up.
Right.
Look at that now. Now, seeing that my beautiful wife Lynn and Matthew and Rachel's beautiful mum Lynn is back there at our accommodation, getting the frying pan warm. There's no kissing these and putting them back. These are good fish. So, folks, while the frying pan is warming up back at our place, the only kissing of the fish is my daughter saying, "Thanks for taking me fishing, Dad."
Thanks, Dad.
We'll be back in a moment. Rexy and his daughter. Rach, you're supposed to wait till I give you the cue after the break, darling.
Sorry, Dad. You were too busy talking, so I thought I'd catch the fish.
Which is unusual for me. Sometimes your mother said to me last night that I actually talk too much. Do you agree with her?
I won't say anything while I'm in the boat. I want to stay in the boat. And I'll just shut up and catch the fish here.
Oh, I tell you what, this is just fantastic. Hey, that's a nice looking fish, Rachel. You've got an absolute ripper stingray.
Thought it was pulling a bit hard for a whiting. Oh, they pull really hard.
They do, don't
They're
they?
not a good fish, but they are a lot of fun to catch, I must say.
How are you? Bring him up the side. Bring him up the side, darling. Bring him up the side. Now this is a normal occurrence, and we don't actually touch these. We can certainly lift them in like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to break him off, because these stingrays have a little sting. And I'll get Brendan. I can actually pick him up there like that. They've got a pretty nasty sting, and you can see there his tail has got 2 stingers on it. And he's going to grow up to be a pretty big stinger. I'll just break that off there like that, and there's no kissing these, and there's no handling them either, kids. Just break it off, put on another hook. It's only going to cost you a few cents, and away he goes. And off he goes. And you know why I do that, folks? Because that's an important part of this estuarine system. You just don't kill things for the sake of killing them. I see people killing toadies. We all hate toadies, but they're there for a reason, to get rid of the toxins out of our environment. Nice fish, Rach. A flapjack. Bit of variety. Folks, I said earlier with Rachel, this is a specialist form of fishing. You need specialist rods, specialist gear, and if you haven't got it, you're going to struggle. Running sinker, no legs on it, a sinker down to a small swivel, and that is the stop. A lot of you might like to use an old bit of valve rubber with a match or something else as a stopper, but I prefer a swivel, which also stops my line twisting. Now, a 70 centimetre leader of the same diameter that I'm using. In this stage, 6 pound breaking strain in the old scale. A long shank hook with a tiny little bit of red tubing, an attractant, just like the little round beads that I've been using on this show from its inception. Now, the long shank hook is there for a very good reason. Twofold, just like the leather jackets, the old Elvis Presley fish. You can get the hook out of the fish and release it, or put it in your fish bin to take home quite easily. The other thing is these fish, the whiting, the old Chinese fish, they are a vacuum cleaner. They haven't got an articulated jaw like a snapper, and they come up and they go just like eating a single piece of spaghetti. Now, the worms. When you go to your place and there's whiting around, you've got to source out the worms. Your local tackle store may sell them. Some of them may sell beach worms or pump worms or pod worms. I find the little lakes and estuaries I can pump enough worms for an afternoon's fishing. They're very, very fine, and they suit the fine hook. And I put 2 or 3 medium to small size worms on a hook like that, and I can tell you folks, when it's out the back of the boat, oh, what is it? An hour and a half before sunset and an hour and 10 minutes before the change of tide, if you don't get a fish, I'm not bald. Folks, fishing is a fantastic family thing, you know what I mean? My kids have been fishing since they were out of nappies, and I think before you were in nappies. Rachel, there's a little bite on my rod. Would you mind just actually attending that while I'm talking to the folks about family fishing? Can you imagine this one, folks, in a bassinet up the top of my little punt, and my little boy Matthew flexing his muscles on the whiting and the brim of this magnificent estuarine system on the south coast of New South Wales? Absolutely sensational. That is very, very good, Rachel.
He's fatter, isn't he?
Now, he's a beautiful, fat south coast, beautiful whiting. Look at that. And folks, that's what I've always told you. Those long shank hooks, they come out easy like that. And look at that. There's that famous mouth. And that's only as big as he can get it open. Unlike me, folks, because they call me the mouth from the south. You enjoying this, sweetheart?
Fantastic, Dad.
She's pretty special, folks.